Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. What's up, everybody?
What up?
Good
What
morning.
up?
What's up?
Before we get started, I just wanted to let the audience know that I am going to be putting a video out on BPC 157 this week. You would have thought I would have called everybody's mother a dirty name last week. I had a Q&A and somebody asked about peptides, which ones were the best, and I said just follow the pharmaceutical company money, the ones that they're investing in. Those are probably the best ones. And somebody asked me about my experience with BPC 157, and I said it works sometimes it doesn't. And you would have thought I would have said a dirty word about somebody's mom. The bros got really upset. So I'm going to do a deep dive into BPC 157 and talk about what it can and can't do this week.
Nice.
Colin, I got a question for you, my man.
What's up?
I saw a fire meme come across at 4:52 a.m. Were you up that early, or were you still up?
I mean, did you catch it live?
No, I did not.
I've been having some different sleep schedule lately.
Is that what they call it?
Because of ChatGPT, man. I'm just spending too much time with ChatGPT. I got it in my head last night. I was going to learn how to code, and I got like excited, like downloaded Python and a Python editor, and I got ChatGPT trying to teach me how to code by like using like analogies, like for storytelling and shit. Like variables are characters in your story.
What?
Yeah. It's tight. So I'm like learning how to code now.
Are you nighttime?
And I didn't sleep very well.
Are you nighttime vibe coding with Karina?
Join me on my nighttime vibe code sessions.
I don't know if I can match your vibe, Karina.
It is funny, like ChatGPT can totally be like a YouTube wormhole. Like you just start talking to it and then you waste an hour and a half.
Bro, talk about a YouTube wormhole. I see a video that I find interesting on YouTube. I'm not going to sit there for fucking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or like an hour or longer. I just take the transcript, rip it, send it into ChatGPT. I'm like, yo, bro, read it, summarize it, analyze it. I get all that information in the noggin in fucking 2 minutes now.
Does THC help with that absorption?
Helps a lot. It helps a lot because without the THC, I would be too much absorption. It'd be knowledge overload. That THC, it's like a natural,
That's the part I'm missing.
pressure relief.
Colin's over here asking ChatGPT existential questions, and I'm over here asking it about drugs. How to get huge, bro.
I was using it to make money. I'm trying to see if it's alive or not.
Make money and learn about drugs.
Don't answer that question.
It's his creativity drug. What's up, Nick?
Man. What's
up,
going
man?
on, Nick? Been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, no, things are going good. It's just it's quite early here. I think it's just after 2 a.m. So yeah.
Oh, you're on Colin's schedule.
Yeah, Colin's nocturnal coding schedule.
I think I got reset after the Arnold Classic. I've been going to bed earlier. Amy and Karina are up like at 4 a.m. knocking around the house, and I wake up when I hear the slightest bit of noise. Because I'm usually up to like 3 a.m.
Jeez. Do you just find you more productive then, or?
I definitely hit my groove at night. Like things are quieter. I don't have people banging me on text messages and DMs and shit, and I'm able to focus and get more work done at night. I know it's probably not the greatest for my body because I only sleep like 4 or 5 hours.
It's also quiet at 4 a.m., Paul. You can be up with us.
That's true, but that requires getting up at 4 a.m.
Oh, but it's nice. Yeah, it's good. It's good being awake early. It's like before the world has come awake. There's no expectations. You can just do your thing.
That it also staying up way too late. You get that experience, is what Paul's saying. you can have that fun experience without any of the responsibility or discipline. It's awesome.
But in the morning, coffee. So
Yeah.
Yes,
You just
coffee.
wake up early anyway, take coffee, and burn the candle at both ends. It's all good.
Karina and Amy have, after being in the house with them for a few days, they have way too much energy in the morning.
Yeah, it walks so fast.
Oh my God, they
I've
walk
told that a time
fast.
or two.
Folks, they lied to us about the walk from the Arnold to the house.
it was like 10 minutes.
Women love to walk.
Seriously, it was 10 minutes.
The fact that
It felt like 2 hours.
my tiny legs walk faster than you're literally like twice my height. Able to keep.
Sam
I'm
and Frodo
deliberate.
were female hobbits. That movie would have been over in an hour. Y'all fucking truck.
Right,
Yeah,
we're gonna power walk this.
They took off and left us in the dust, man. I was like a half
Yeah.
a mile behind them.
It was cold.
Yeah, I couldn't walk that slow in the
their
cold.
10-minute walk took 25 minutes, so I don't think it was a 10-minute walk.
I'm pretty sure I could make it in like less than 8.
Yeah, I think Amy slowed down for me.
Yeah.
It was cold and it was a walk. Two things I don't do: walking or
was cold.
cold.
It was cold.
It was
Yeah,
cold.
it was cold.
So
I've
what's new?
learned to temper my excitement in the morning though. Like that I've realized that not everyone is ready for a lot of this at 4 a.m. So at least I've learned to calm that down.
Oh man, I do the wrong thing. I go to bed late and get up early. Well, I guess early-ish for me, like 7:38. I usually get up.
The sun is up by that point. That's not early.
That's not early. I have to get up when the sun comes up.
Yeah, if the sun is up, I would panic. I would have a full-blown panic attack if I woke up and there was sun coming in my window. I would like.
Well, if I keep my blackout blinds closed, it's technically not up, right?
That's right.
My brain
It's not
doesn't
in.
think so. The light waves aren't waking me. Man, if I have any light on me, I just wake up. My body just like says, "All right, it's time to get up." I got to keep my room like super dark.
Yeah, I'm the same. As soon as there's a light, like as soon as it hits the back of my eyes, I'm fucked. I'm up. I'm awake. I can't go back to sleep.
Usually, my strategy is to take a shirt off and put it over my face,
Oh,
That'll
or
work.
have a dog lay on top of me, one or the other, whichever.
I like the way they do blackout curtains in Germany. They don't fuck around. There's none of these. They don't even do curtains. There's no curtains. They got like these like blinds that are like mechanical shutters. They come down like
Like the
block all
hurricane
the light out.
shutters.
Yeah. Like you're putting your head like Batman's like the fucking Batmobile. You know, like putting its armor on. No sunlight. No sun. I said no sun.
Did you guys see? I know bros hate when I talk too much about just bullshit. So talk about some bodybuilding. Did you see Martin Fitzwater with his pictures from last year to this year?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Holy
crazy.
shit, man!
Yeah.
Especially his back.
Yeah.
Let me
That back
pull-
shot, his lower lats, the depth there.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, it's impressive. I think it was like what 20-pound difference he was showing. Yeah.
Yeah, 12 weeks. I saw him at the
Crazy.
Arnold. Holy fuck, he is huge. I didn't realize how big
He
he
kept
was
his
until I
waist
saw him.
tight. He kept his waist tight.
Yeah, he did. He really brought up his legs. I love the bandana.
Bandana's tight.
Right. He's wearing
It's like
that,
a Ninja
that
Turtle.
bandana. And then Mike Summerfield has that like gigantic like medallion that he's wearing in all of his check-in pictures. I'm like, these guys are trying to differentiate themselves somehow.
Well, yeah, made some solid progress. I mean, I can tell. I know why the bandana's on, man. His hair went bye-bye.
That hamstring though.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
hamstring's great.
hamstrings come up.
The cost of getting jacked, losing your hair, it's worth it, though,
Yeah.
I think.
He's so balanced. It looks so good.
Yeah, I like his physique a lot. It's wild. I think he got, I don't remember, it was North Americans a few years ago. He placed behind Nick Walker, I remember. I just laugh because that people always talk about how pro cards are so easy to get, and that I think it was 2019, 2020. It was him, Dougie Flex, and Nick Walker that were all in the super heavies, I think. And people, I got to find a picture of how far he's come since then. But that, and people talk about how it's, back in 1999, blah, 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 blah. The competition was so much better. I'm like, come on, dude.
Well, the competition's crazy now. It's like every time you turn on Instagram, there's a new freak from somewhere that's 20 years old or super impressive.
The top, man, last year, like in North America, I just challenge anybody to go to a national show sometime and come out of there. Here he was. This is 2019. This was 2019 North Americans. I'm going to show you this one and how far the dude has come.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you
he
can
must
see
have been
the
a heavyweight.
potential.
He wasn't a super there. Or maybe even
Yeah,
a
he would
light
have been
heavy.
heavyweight there at most.
Yeah,
Well,
that's crazy.
we saw him at his first pro show we went to in Texas, and I don't think he was even 230 at all. I think he was in the 220s, high 220s.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. But dude is there now.
Yeah.
He's filled his frame out. Like, he's got narrow clavicles. He hasn't got a lot of space, but he's filled the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Super round.
What's
Yeah.
up, Zionic?
What's up?
Yeah, he was the guest poser at one of the shows I did in 2024. It was pretty cool.
Oh, wicked.
That's really cool.
I got to see him at Detroit. Yeah, Detroit last year.
Awesome.
All right.
What wasn't there like 5 dudes competing in that show?
Yeah, I think there was exactly 5. Really small show, but no, he looked incredible.
That's another thing that makes me laugh is guys like there's like too many people that are pros now. There were 5 fucking guys in the open at Detroit Pro.
Yeah.
I've never seen more than this. It gets me on a rant, man. Like I have never seen more than 15 dudes in the open at any pro show. Ever. There's not an overabundance of open dudes. There might be 800
Classic on
men's
the other
physique
end.
guys.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of classic.
There's a lot of classic.
Yeah.
There's
Kind of like
the
classic and wellness are just super saturated now.
The Olympia is so brutal with classic. Those 3.5 hour, 4 hour long shows.
oh man, I had to have somebody just text me when Chris Bumstead was going up. Like I can't sit through all this, man.
There's a lot.
They need to have like some sort of like prelims to the prelim. I don't know. They need to narrow it down. There's too many guys in the class. There's only 16 in open, I think, in the Olympia, something like that. I don't know the exact number, but there were like 60 dudes in classic. It's way too many.
Well, they only give out placements for the top 16. So everybody else, it's like everybody ties for 16th. So it's really only 15th. And then like everyone else literally ties for 16th place. So if that's what you're going to do, then just do some type of like prelim where you narrow it down to 15 and then only those 15 go on at finals. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like even like the stage at the Olympia, like it's so packed on both sides. It looks like some type of like rave, like some weird trippy tan rave with it, all of the bodybuilders when they have all the physique guys and also the bikini competitors. I mean, they're like stacked like 5 rows deep on either side. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's too many. And then you don't really get to see people compared because at that point, like, yes, they all have like incredible physiques. And that's the hard part is that you've got like 8th, 9th, 10th call outs and like, it just all starts to blur together at that point. I don't know. I mean, from an athlete standpoint, I mean, going to the Olympia would be amazing, but like, I don't know how I'd feel if I was, one of 60 competitors and I tied for 16th place. I mean, what does that really do for me overall? I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool experience, but
I could show up to the Detroit Pro if there was only 6 competitors and say I got 7th in
exactly.
an open show.
Yes. Hey, I placed second last year in my class of 2.
Yeah, it's at local shows in the Masters division. It's always a little depressing when you walk out and you're like 1 of 2 guys or whatever, 1 of 3 guys. There was definitely an abundance of them at the Masters Nationals when I was there last year. I think there were over 50 dudes in the over 50 class that I was in. There were a lot.
I'd imagine in the Olympia judging, though, the judges must have a little bit of a clue where they're placing people before the show starts.
Oh yeah, they know.
Oh,
Yeah,
100% they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
You know-
sure they have the top 5 ironed out, and they just roll the dice on everybody else. They just kind of they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much attention they pay past. I know me. Like if I were a judge, how ADHD I am, I would be paying attention to the top 5 guys, and then everybody else is just whatever. It's terrible. I have a lot of respect for the judges, man. That is a tough gig, sitting there all fucking day long, man,
Yeah.
and evaluating that stuff.
You know, part of me wants, I want to see as much competition as possible, but the show has to be digestible as well. It doesn't really, trying to be up at midnight watching the show is a little tough for some people, but I don't want to discourage people thinking like, why bother show up if I'm just going to be, 60th place. I'd rather have everyone show up and maybe do a prelim or whatever, but more competition is always better.
From an athlete standpoint, though, that makes it really hard to time like peaking too. Like you have no idea. There's 60 people. Like you have no idea how long that's. And some years the Olympia, it takes 2 hours to get on stage, and some years it's like 4.5. So
Yeah.
Sharpie was saying that they should make them win 2 shows. Well, they used to do a point system where you had to have a certain amount of points to qualify. They don't do that anymore. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe they should just do like they do in college football. They just have rankings, based on how you placed in shows this year. Like coming in, you're number 1, you're number 2, and that way they can. I know the Arnold is invite only. That's how they filter.
Right
there, but the Arnold's runs so much smoother. It's just so much better.
So much better.
Yeah. I like the Mr. Olympia system's clearly broken. They need to fix it.
Yeah, that whole show was just. I don't know,
Seems
man.
to be a little bit more concerned with making money than putting on a good show. There, I said it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, I'm a capitalist, man. I get it. You got to make money. You can't go out there and put a show on for free. But still, I mean, like they were yelling at people for getting their phones out and taking pictures and shit. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
If anything, they should be happy about it. It's free promotion.
Yeah.
Free promotion, advertisement. They should just get the fuck over it.
There's also like people like myself that won't go back to the Olympia because it's so disorganized. So it's like they're gonna lose out on my $1,000 ticket, right? And like eventually that's gonna keep happening. People are gonna want to show up less and less. Ticket sales will go down.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Arnold sold more tickets this past year than they ever have before.
Yeah, and they'll continue in that trend, I think, especially now that they're offering more prize money.
Jonas, it's funny that Bob Chick came out and smacked the Arnold. The reason he smacked the Arnold is because he got fired from the job. See, they didn't ask him back. That's why. That
whole,
Yeah.
Nick Walker with those shirts.
Yeah, Nick Walker's. Who's Bob, I think it was, or 16th place Bob.
8th place.
Like 8th place Bob, I don't remember what it was.
I'm sure he picked up a nice little paycheck from those shirts. I'd be thanking Bob for the drama. What's funny though is I didn't get to mention this last time, but maybe it's just me. But watching the Arnold, like everyone complains about the backdrops being like way too flashy and way too much going on. Like at the Olympia, they have the screens that got the promoters and the sponsors, and it's a little distracting. But the Arnold, I thought, did a great job where it looked good. It wasn't a uniform like black background. And
no, it was great.
Everything was excellent. Like I don't know if it's just the fact that there wasn't sponsors or.
I think they stopped just short of having like a ticker tape of sponsors going across the background, like where people are trying to do their bodybuilding that they paid money for and like invested years of their lives towards crafting their art, And then they put fucking moving advertisements behind them. That's cool.
Yeah, there was moving advertisements, and they kept doing these flashing lights behind the guys on the big screen. It was
the lighting was awful too.
It was terrible.
Yeah, the color at the Arnold was fine because you look at I remember watching. I think it was Tampa or Chicago, but the background they had before was like orange. All the guys coming out are tan and orange, and they're just blending into the background.
That's so stupid.
Yeah,
floating smiles and eyes.
Yeah.
Lucas said, I was listening to the Columbus podcast. Arnold's worth $1 billion. He said, why is it so hard for him to put $1 million on the table? It won't hurt him. I'll tell you why. It's because of he would totally do it. He can't because
He's boycotted by the Olympia.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he would get boycotted by the IFBB and the Olympia. They would.
Yeah, they don't want to have to do that.
They don't want to have to pay that much money. It's nothing about him and what money he has. It's like if they pay that much, he's going to have all the top competitors there, and they aren't going to do the Olympia.
Yeah. What's up, man? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for watching.
I mean, last year we were there, and he got up on stage and said, "Fuck it, I'm raising the prize money." Remember? Mm-hmm. So I don't care what the IFBB says. So yeah, I mean, he's
clearly willing to make some waves, but he
was definitely
taking
taking some shots at him on the stage this year too.
Well, I think the Olympia ought to take a page out of Arnold's book because he's doing a lot right. You know, you're able to have everything from the background right, the lighting right, the expo, the whole weekend. You know, they're not just relying on one day to make money. They have a huge extravaganza for over 4 days. You know, amateur show. It's the place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like getting involved in drama, but the whole Bob Chick thing is just unprofessional, man. Like, you carry yourself like a professional.
Yeah.
And when you're commiserating with Sean Ray, that probably tells you all you need to know about somebody's character. Sean Ray's your backup. As big as Arnold is, one thing you must keep in mind is he needs the NPC and the IFBB sanction. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, he would lose it. Yeah, that is. Yeah, Lucas, that's the issue. He I'm sure he would do it. I mean, he's alluded at it. I mean, he was definitely taking shots at him, and I'm sure he pissed him off when he raised the prize money for the Arnold too, because they had to make it the Olympia prize money more than what he was doing for the Arnold to keep up with it. So yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they make tons of money off those shows.
Of course, they wouldn't do it if they weren't making money. They wouldn't do them. You know?
It's not non-for-profit bodybuilding.
Yeah, no.
Bodybuilders Without Borders.
Well, look at how quickly the Olympia was able to not just match but go $100,000 above Arnold. You know, immediately months down the road. So.
Well, even at the NPC level, how much money they make. I was at North Americans last year, and it was, what'd they say, 1,400 competitors? Gosh. And they charge $400 per class that you compete in.
Watch Paul do the math in his head now.
Yeah. That's called a lot.
Great.
I don't even have to do the math. It's a lot of fucking money.
Legitimately, though, he is impressive with his arithmetic.
Well, it's 560,000 right there. Yeah.
Good Lord.
And that's for just one class per person, right? I mean, most of those people probably entered multiple classes.
Plus tickets, plus coaches passes, plus NPC membership, plus tan. They don't let you. They this is crazy. I'm probably gonna piss some people off saying this, but they take all the fucking microwaves and refrigerators out of the rooms, so you have to buy their shitty food that they make. I saw people bringing in carts with their own refrigerators and microwaves on them to the hotel. The answer is just get a Airbnb.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I need a kitchen, not a hotel person, especially in that scenario. Like, I want to be able to eat my own food.
I got this badass Airbnb on the top of the mountain overlooking Pittsburgh. It was such a cool view until I realized that all the teenagers come up there and drive their cars really loud and revving their engines at 3 a.m. I'm like, motherfucker, man. I didn't know people still did this shit.
You tell them to get off your lawn.
Get off my lawn. I would have been doing the same shit.
Me too. I try to remember shit like that as when I feel like I'm about to have an old man moment. I try to remember that I was an asshole teenager one time too.
Dude, I think about how obnoxious I was in my late teens, early 20s. I had this car that had neons on it and 15-inch subwoofers and slammed down to the ground.
I love it. Was it a Honda?
No, it was even better. It was even better. It was a Dodge Neon.
Oh, Dodge. You did say neon. I thought you meant you had like neon.
Oh no, I had neon lights on my neon.
Oh, you did?
Neon squared.
Yeah.
It's all
I
right.
was too
man.
broke to afford a Honda Civic.
The Dodge Neon, the Honda Civic's already the poor man's hot rod.
Well, the Dodge Neon was even. I remember it didn't have air conditioning in it because I was too broke to. My
Well, it
dad
makes it go
wouldn't.
faster.
Yeah.
You want to turn the heat
I had a
all the way
Dodge
up
Neon.
anyway, right? Yeah.
It only had a radio. It didn't even have a cassette player back then, or I mean, like let alone a CD player. It had crank windows. It was 5-speed. Yeah, that thing was, but it was fast. I mean, like that little, it was like 130 horsepower, but because it was so freaking light, like you could
Yeah.
Had
like,
some
drive
pep.
that thing like crazy. Yeah.
My cheap ass dad wouldn't co-sign a loan for me to get a Honda Civic, and they kind of shooed me out of the
Yeah.
of the dealership. I was working as a personal trainer at a gym then, earning my stripes.
I don't know. how I
Honda
got
Civic
ranked.
was my first car.
Oh, nice.
See, Karina's high class. I
Fancy.
was slumming it.
Crown 1984 Crown Victoria LTD is my first car.
That was not my first car. That was my second car. And my first car was 1966 Dodge Dart.
Dodge Dart. That's awesome.
That's great.
I had a V8 in it, and I promptly wrapped it around a tree after driving it for 2
Yeah.
months,
Oh god.
showing off for my friends. Watch this, man!
The funny
Off
thing
the
about
road and up into a field and wrapped it around a tree. Then I told my dad. My dad comes to get me. He's like, "What the fuck happened?" I'm like, "Somebody ran me off the road."
obviously that's
I
what
don't
happened.
know what happened. My dad
I was so scared, Dad.
My dad, like 3 years ago, he's like, you remember that time you wrapped that car around a tree when you were 16 years old? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that was a bullshit story, right?
Has the
I'm like-
statute of limitations run out by this point?
I'm like, yeah, that was a bullshit story.
I had a deer hit me in my Honda, like hit me, like I was parked and it ran into the side of me while I was parked and totaled my car.
That
And
happened.
my parents definitely didn't believe that.
I've seen that happen like in stop traffic when like deer or elk will just like run across the road, and one jumped on this woman's car right in front of me and went straight through her windshield.
Oh god.
It's so dangerous. That's scary.
My dad and I had an understanding though after he threw me under the bus with the porno mags that were his.
That's right.
Yeah, I told that story before.
Yeah, you took one for the team.
You
Yeah,
passes
I'm like-
for life.
I'm like, when he starts giving me shit about wrapping the car around the tree, and I'm like, all right, motherfucker, this is a zero-sum game we can play.
Yeah.
Like, whose hustlers were those?
Yeah. Whose were they? We can play. Two can play that game.
I still haven't grown up. My cars are obnoxiously loud. Just how I like them.
I mean, loud cars are cool.
Yeah. Keeps the deer away.
What year was your neon? I think it was let's see, I was a freshman in college in 93. Yeah, 93. 93. I'm old.
I like Lucas's comment. My first car is Air Jordans.
Well, that's the Cadillac of shoes. So
Hustler was the best. Yeah, that was, man, kids today have no idea how hard we had it back then.
I only read it for the articles personally.
I remember the Chester the Molester cartoon that was in the Hustlers. so bad. Oh man. Did we have any questions lined up?
Yeah, we got a few. Let's see here. Madison, what's up, fam? Any of y'all gonna be at the Virginia Classic this year? Colton and I are aiming for that being my first show.
Where is that?
I'm not sure. Let me Google it.
Let me look up.
Strong bet it's in Virginia.
No shit.
Can't say it will be. No.
I don't think it's one of the local shows here.
Strasbourg, Shenandoah.
Oh, Strasbourg. Yeah, that's out where my parents live.
Yeah.
That's like not far from my parents' house. My parents live 15, 20 minutes from there. Well, shit, that's out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe I'll go out and see my parents and go to the...
Wait a minute. Goddamn, this new fucking Google giving me incorrect AI
is it?
answers. It's just, they're
Is it
hosting the Virginia Classic for wine and cheese and agriculture instructor.
Oh, wrong Virginia Classic, bro.
That's the wrong one.
No,
It's gonna be in Woodbridge,
Don't show up there, Paul.
where
Oh,
it
is
was
that-
last time.
Oh,
Are you
did they change
really
the name of it? Yeah, I
Show
go
up-
to the
show
I
up
go
in
to
your
the
posing
Woodbridge show
trunks at
usually.
that.
Oh fuck!
are you really blaming Google though? I mean, it's your algorithm. It knows you like food and the cheese classic. You're like, this is Colin. We're not talking bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's
Woodbridge,
probably
Jesus
fair.
Christ.
That's probably fair.
Oh, it's April
Fatty's
20.
not looking for the bodybuilding show. Show him the wine list.
Yes.
Yeah, no, April 25th. That's 3 days after my my shoulder surgery. I will not be attending.
Oh, well, we'll be there in spirit, man. And good luck to you.
So you're locked in, ready to go, Paul. You got all your ducks in line for your.
I
Surgery.
gotta go get a physical done. I was supposed to have that done last week, and I'm a dumbass and put the time on the calendar for the wrong hour. I was supposed to be at the doctor's office at 1, and I put it on my calendar for 2. And then they call me, like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, not there, apparently.
That's
So,
horrible.
doctor wanted my A1C a little lower before he did surgery.
Yeah, no shit.
What was the A1C?
It was lose toe level.
You're gonna be mortified when you hear this, Nick.
What was it
10
like 6.3?
Oh,
10.6.
LOL.
It was
He
like double
wishes.
that.
Well, we're working towards 6.3.
Double that.
It was 10.6.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah, it was-
mine is like 4.2.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm
That's a
I'm
flex.
diabetic.
Wow, seriously. Like, wow.
What was like the first thing you did though, Paul? Was just putting in your Lantus, kind of like get you heading in the right direction, or did you have to really look at your diet? 'Cause I know you said you weren't really structured for a little bit.
Dude, I'm like a what they call type 1B or type 1.5, whatever you want to fucking call it, pancreatic insufficiency. And my stupid doctor keeps telling me it's not that I have type 2, which is not what the fuck is going on. So I listened to my damn doctor. It's like, you don't need to take the insulin. You shouldn't be taking insulin. You just need to be on metformin, and that's what I did. And I wasn't checking my glucose levels, just not paying attention to it. My diet got a little lax after my show, but like nothing terrible, man. Like
Yeah.
clearly, if I was eating like complete dog shit, I would be getting fat. But I couldn't gain any weight this fall, like none. Like I just would. In fact, I was losing weight, which is probably because I had no insulin.
That's typical of type 1.
Yeah, and I went back in to get my my shit checked, and then it was 10.6, and I'm like, and then my fasting insulin level was 0.5, and the doctor's still telling me like, well, we'll just up the metformin dose. I'm like, no, that's not what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah.
Is your doctor's name Kermit? He sounds like a fucking Muppet.
Yeah, I just went and got it. Didn't sign up
Welcome
with
to
a
Western
doctor.
medicine.
Well, knowing
You know,
you,
look,
knowing you,
I-
Paul, you're probably light on the food. I mean, you're
My dealing with doctors lately doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I feel like I know more than half the doctors I've spoken to.
Yeah.
As much as it's pained me, I have cut the Swedish fish from my diet in McFlurries. So those probably weren't helping things.
Is that cod?
Yes,
Sweden?
it's cod.
I
Cod from Sweden.
thought fish was good for your health. You should put those back in.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I've been tracking my glucose for the last, I don't know. It's about 8 weeks ago. I got that. It's never been that high. I should have not listened to the doctor. And I should have kept. She wouldn't write me a script for Atlantis. I'm like, calm the fuck on, man. So I just went and got it on my own.
yeah.
I got a new doctor I'm seeing right now.
Good.
I'm going to have a physical done here in the next week. The new doctor seems to be a little more open-minded. But yeah, it was just stupid. I've never been like the highest I've ever been is like 6.5, something like that. I came out of contest prep. I was 5.8, 5.9 for being a type 1, 1.5, 1B.
That's really good.
That's pretty well controlled. 10.6 is not. That's like get your feet cut off high.
What if
Never
you just
get a
moved to
boner
the
again
Swedish fish
high.
oil, Paul?
Swedish fish oil, yes, they're high. I need to patent a brand of Swedish fish that
Yeah.
have omega-3s in them.
Your sleep's been a lot better too lately, right? I'm sure that's helping.
Up and down. Last night I got 6, a little less than 6, but yeah, I've got a couple days in this week where I've had 7. I also cut the HGH out while I'm trying to get everything back down. That
That's
definitely, the insulin resistance from HGH is transient. Like, I don't think people fully understand how that works, but it just, because it shifts you towards lipogenesis, it's not that you're really insulin resistant, it's that you've shifted more towards lipid metabolism, and so if you're eating a bunch of carbs, glucose levels are going to rise, and it quickly shifts back if you pull off the GH, usually. So I've been laying off the GH, but I've gotten my fasting glucose levels back down into the 90s for the most part. I've been running Retatrutide. That actually seems to have increased my pancreatic function.
Yeah.
I played around with not running insulin on some days, and I actually can keep my fasting glucose down in the high 90s, low 100s, which is crazy for me without insulin.
Yeah.
With just Retatrutide. I am still running metformin, and doctor put me on a PPARY agonist as well. I don't know if it's really going to help me or not, because I don't think insulin sensitivity in the muscle cells an issue with me, but I figured
So he's got you on what, dapagliflozin or?
Actos.
Wait, which class of drug did you say?
PPARY agonist.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Pioglitazone, I think is the generic name of it.
Damn it, Nick, wake up. It's like the dead of night for him over there.
Yeah.
You poor thing.
I'd say half
I'm just
the
glad you're
people
here.
on the stream are nerds. Yes, we are. Everybody here is. Anyway, I didn't mean to get on a diabetes rant.
All right, Wilford. Shall we move on?
Yeah, sorry.
Diabetes.
I had methylene blue today, just to be transparent here. That's why I'm very chatty.
Methylene blue is amazing. I love this shit.
This Dubster Buster asked this question before the stream even started, I think.
Relevant.
Big P, as a type 1 diabetic, my insulin doesn't pass the liver via vena porta. What is the best time to take HGH to max IGF-1 with my routine? He wants to know if a bolus plus a meal at 12. What I don't know. What was he talking about here? WO 16 to 18.
Plus workout.
Workout. What is it? What does that mean? 16 to 18. Oh, he's talking about time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this military time. Okay. And another bolus and a meal at 1900, snack at 20:30, and bed at 22.
I just take it all before bed, man. I want to be in a semi-fasted state when I take it. And everybody gets hung up on systemic IGF-1 as an indicator of, I'm going to make certain people angry about this, of an indicator of muscle growth. And there is zero correlation between systemic IGF-1 and muscle growth. It's all localized.
Yeah.
This is just IGF-1 that's being produced by the liver. And
Not to mention that too, but like with IGF-1, it's going to be elevated so fucking long. It doesn't really matter when you take it. Like if you're not going like over a week apart from your GH injections, like your IGF-1 levels are going to be pretty fucking high.
Yeah. And it's localized IGF-1 that matters anyway. It's not even systemic, unless you like growing intestines and things like that. Tumors and shit, you know.
That Palumbo look.
Probably take your whole dose too, and try to avoid for him breaking up your dose throughout the day. Just take it all at.
I've noticed if I spread the doses out, that my blood sugar levels stay higher.
Yeah.
If I take it all in a single dump at night, I do not get the higher glucose levels.
Because you're not getting constant peaks of growth hormone, you're just getting the one peak and then a huge elevation in IGF.
And I also notice if I take it with metformin before bed, I'm not getting the glycogen dump from my liver in the middle of the night. A lot of guys will wake up with the high glucose in the morning. It's because I don't remember the exact mechanisms, but you're going to have glucagon and you're going to have a dump of liver glycogen a lot of times in the middle of the night. And then also because you're shifting to lipolysis, you're going to have more, you're going to have higher glucose levels if you take it around meals with carbs in it. So I don't know. I just take it all at night.
Well, I can say I switched taking all of my GH at night, you know, and listen to what Kurt had said, because I had tried multiple administrations, pre-workout, morning fasted cardio, and I've definitely noticed the only difference I've noticed is a big change in my fasted glucose in the morning, waking up, taking it all bolus dose at night, the whole dose. Because I'm one of those that just got to experiment for myself, even though I know Kurt knows what he's talking about. You know, and even switch to sub-Q, and just I feel like I feel it's much better on my blood glucose levels to take it all at night.
Yeah, it's smart that you do that though, because I mean I think too many people jump to, oh, this is what the study says, or this is how the medication is meant to be taken, and
Sure.
sure, it's a good starting point, a good reference point, but there is merit in N equals 1, I think, at least, like doing some self experimentation. Like we are, all humans at the end of the day, but there is individual variance, and so people are gonna. I mean, we metabolize drugs at different rates, so we're going to respond to drugs differently, of course. So, yeah,
Sure.
that's it's good that you did that, and you didn't just kind of take any information at face value.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to be stubborn and just keep doing, because, you know, that was the way I do things, you know, because I guess the only hang up I had was I liked taking it intramuscularly before my fasted cardio, 20, 30 minutes before. And I thought I was getting the most fat burning effects that way. But I noticed no difference. When I just took it all at night, it's easier. You know, my glucose is better. I've noticed no difference. I actually even sleep better.
People don't understand, like, studies present aggregates, right? And it's like you don't know where your individual response lies on that distribution curve, right?
Yeah.
And so like you might be above it, you might be below it, whatever, but your individual response is going to be more indicative of your individual response than anything an aggregate can tell you.
True.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I like it's the whole like pancreas versus endocrine argument. Like localized IGF-1 is what matters for muscle growth. Like this just drives me nuts. Like I guess you could use it as an indicator that your GH is real, but even still, like if there's other factors going on, like you're eating a low carb diet, you're in a deficit, things like that, your estrogen suppressed, things like that, you're going to have lower systemic IGF-1 levels anyway. So it's just nutty to me that people even depend on that as a test for indicating whether or not their GH is working or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, whatever. I mean, like, I think some people overanalyze it too. And then it's also just comes down to it. How are you feeling? Are you growing?
Yeah.
Too? There's that part.
Yes.
Yeah.
I sleep like a baby when I put my GH at night, and that's the most important thing to me.
Yeah. I have noticed that my sleep has gotten a lot worse since I've been off GH now for about 8 weeks. And my sleep has gotten a lot worse. When I was taking 9 units, which is what I was doing before bed, I was getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Now that I'm down to nothing, I'm getting like 5, 6 typically.
Yeah, I'm on OGH, and well, obviously, and I get next to shit all sleep. I get like 6 hours a night at best.
Anyway, sorry about the rant. All right.
All right.
Next
let's see
question.
here. Jeff, do you have any experience with MOTS-c or SLU-PP332?
Dave would probably be the one that knows most about that.
I've been using SLU. SLU is good.
I have also used SLU.
That shit is magic.
It makes me sweat all day long.
It makes me like a fucking crackhead.
Like just sitting at my desk, I'm just sweating.
Yeah, what really turned me on to wanting to try the MOTS-c and the SLU is just the potential for staying lean in my off season without having to worry about any stimulants. You know, I didn't want to even think about trying to take a fat burner. I'm good with my diet, but I want to have a little bit of extra help staying lean. And I don't want to do stimulants in my off season. So this definitely helped. I get kind of fat burning effect, especially from the SLU, extra energy, and I don't have any stimulant effects, so that's a plus. I'm actually thinking next prep, just keeping out stimulants for quite a while, and seeing if I even need them. Try using the SLU diet the way you get the most effects from your diet, and I don't have a problem dieting. So
Yeah, that's true.
I have noticed I've got some guys in prep right now. We're getting a little deeper in prep with some of the people, and some of the guys are experimenting with SLU and Reta. I've noticed the dudes aren't staying as full on it. And so I don't know if it's maybe the Reta and how it affects glucagon and glycogen synthesis. Other than theory, that should just be liver. But
yeah, I'd imagine it'd probably be the Retatrutide that's having the effect because it's a GLP-1, GIP, and the GCG agonist.
yeah,
So it's pretty full on.
yeah, I'd imagine the red is slowing down the rate at glucose genesis, glycogen synthesis. So maybe that's just slowing that down. But I have noticed that as well.
got a shout out from Natalia.
Hey, Natalia.
What's up?
Thanks for watching.
One of the best female competitors out there.
Yep.
She's
Honored.
Absolute weapon.
Yeah, that's a great compliment. I'm as a woman, Amy and Karina, can I call women absolute weapons and get away with it, or is that only with an Australian accent?
I mean, I would take that as a compliment.
Okay, you allow it. Okay, cool.
Chase said he's dropped the SLU and Clan and 5-amino while I grow. Reta's still in the. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some guys like, I mean, you, Dave, you've stayed way leaner running the Reta in the off season. I've got a couple guys on contest prep that are running Reta, and they're having a hard time eating their contest prep food. I got one guy's super heavy competitor. He's a big dude, man. We're started off contest prep around 300 pounds. We'll probably be 260, 270 on stage, and he's having a hard time getting his food in. I mean, big guy like that's got to eat a lot of food even on prep. But yeah, it's wild.
I get like a nice kind of almost nootropic feel from the SLU. I kind of get a little bit more focused without like a overstimulated feeling. So I really like the SLU, and the Reta's been working great too. And I notice all these little things like my blood sugar levels are better. Sometimes I'm able to sleep because I just able to stay focused, and I can it doesn't interfere with my sleep at the end of the night. I like it. And Paul, you taught me kind of like on our high days on prep, taking out some of the stimulants, and I've noticed I feel so much better. Like when I'm in a prep, and if I get a high day, I'll take out the ECY stack, let's say, for that day. I sleep better that night, and if I can just get more of that during my prep with less stimulants, I'm all for that. I think sometimes we're a little too wired on prep.
100%.
Yeah, that's
You
been
just feel redlined all the time.
Yeah,
That's
and
been a
it's like that's
strategy.
going to be more deleterious for your fat loss in prep than the extra expenditure caused from the stimulants.
Right.
I've been using that strategy on contest prep. That was with guys started last year. That was a little trick I picked up from AJ Sims. He's like, you're not burning fat on a refeed day, so why are you taking fat burners and all the stimulants and stuff? Just let your CNS have a break. Let the body recover. Usually, a lot of times I'll just pull out cardio. I'll pull out everything on that day. Pull out the fat burners. Get a good night's sleep. Let your body rest and recover, and then use the other days to push. Like I like pushing. Me personally, like the way I did it on my last prep, and I thought it was kind of a little more effective, and I didn't have as much fatigue. My low days, I would do extra cardio on my low days, and I would pump the gas on the low days to burn some fat, and I would use those days to get lean. Just strategically sprinkle them in, and I think that worked better.
Also, I'd imagine with the Reta too, if you use Reta during a prep, you're getting suppressed appetite. You might not need as much stimulants to suppress your appetite as well, which was one thing I was using it for, was to suppress my appetite.
Tom wants to know, Karina, what's your dose of SLU? Asking for my wife.
Yeah, so I played around with 250 micrograms and 500 micrograms. And I should say that like the kind of experience was pretty much exactly what Dave described. So in my like job, I have to do a lot of like critical thinking. And basically I just felt like super productive at work. Like I was like exceptionally focused and exceptionally prolific in a way that didn't feel like I was on a bunch of stimulants. So it just like really actually improved my like work life. But 500 felt like a little bit too much. 250 felt perfect.
Yeah. I think that's what Jackie did too, was start at about 250, and it definitely helped her glucose levels. Because I know you, Karina, you've been trying to help Jackie with her glucose levels, getting a little bit of improvement on that. But I think she's at the 500, and it's funny, the difference is that she doesn't really feel any stimulated effect at all. She doesn't really feel any energy effect at all. It's kind of like just something that runs in the background for her, you know?
Yeah, I can't really just it's hard to describe. I have like a very intense effect to, but I respond. I have really aggressive responses to most compounds. But I have a very very intense energy and like nootropic effect with SLU.
The thing
I haven't
that
tried it yet.
I can think of that I kind of compare it to is like well, you don't get a buzz from it, but like the focus you get from L-theanine, it's kind of like that.
Yes.
It's like a clean focus.
Yeah. It's a good description.
I saw John, one of my clients, asked a question. He wanted me to get it in on the show. I told him just to remind me this weekend.
There's your reminder.
Yeah, here's a reminder. Thanks, John, for the $2. I would love to hear everyone's approach on what I should do with having such a hard time fitting in meals. Any suggestions would be great. I've talked with Amy about it, and I'm struggling. John was one of my clients. So here's John's situation. He is a welder.
Oh my gosh.
On pipelines, and John works some crazy ass shifts, man.
He
He
works like 80 hours a week.
12, 15-hour shifts, and he was drinking chicken shakes. He was doing the Dr. Todd, but then he heard Kurt talking about it, like, and I think you, Amy, too, like with digestive enzymes and stuff like that, how that might not be the greatest idea, but I don't know. Anyway, any area, I've told him my thoughts, but I want to hear from you guys. What would you do with a client in that situation where you have a hard time getting meals in? Somebody doing manual labor.
How many meals a day can he get? Like, as in, like, does he get one lunch break or?
What we were doing before, he was like, he was squeezing in shakes. And honestly, I think it might be the only thing that he can do. I have his plan program for 6 meals, but I think he was doing 3 solid meals and 3 shakes, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Well, one thing I like to do is like people that have high energy outputs like that, throwing in like dried fruit to snack on throughout the day. Real easy way of getting in extra potassium, extra carbohydrates, and it's something that's a non-perishable, so you can literally have it in his pockets if you want to. Stuff like that. And then obviously, I mean, meal-wise, protein-wise, if you can sip on EAAs throughout the day, that'll help between meals. If you're struggling to get his like daily protein in the amount of sittings he can sit down and eat in. Yeah, I mean, it's just finding convenient things like that, I think. People always, I think us bodybuilders, we have a tendency to think, it needs to be like chicken and vegetables or like fish and vegetables, but the reality is, like, if your energy demands are that high, your protein demands aren't really changing. It's just your carbohydrate demands. So just squeeze in easy to digest carbohydrates. And I mean, dried fruit's not really, I guess you wouldn't really look at it as like a prebiotic, like a food source, but I mean, it's still going to digest very easily.
Well, John's always lean. Being lean is never an issue for him.
I mean, myself working, I did for 15 years, 80-hour weeks, a physical labor job. And, granted, I owned the business, so I had a little more freedom to find the time to eat to a point. But a lot of times, being in the field, I would strategically the day ahead say, what am I doing for my job? Am I able to sit down, or am I going to be stuck in a truck all day? And sometimes it was literally as simple as finding a way to eat with one hand, to operate doing something at one time, have a couple bites of, I would maybe make my chicken into a wrap, eat it that way, drink some rice milk, drink some sort of carbs that way. Yeah, you just got to have maybe food selection, just something that you can easily put down, or find different creative shakes that you can put together.
We tried these protein bars at the Arnold, man. They were actually pretty good. And they don't, the ingredients in them, at least for a protein bar, ain't too heinous. I don't know. What do you think about like dried meats too, Nick, in addition with the dried fruit? Like, as long as it's not too much sodium.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you just have to be a bit mindful of total sodium. But
I mean, you
that'd
can make
work
them
'cause-
yourselves. You get a food dehydrator. You can make in some thin dried meat. You can make your own jerky and control how much salt goes on it. And what
Yeah,
kind.
or use like diet salt as well.
Yeah.
That'd work. I mean, because straight out of high school, I was a formwork chippy, formwork carpenter, and like similar thing to Dave, I'd do like 10-hour days like on the tools, and you just find a way to make it work. And I mean, the way I do it, similar to Dave, I just kind of like map out what is my day going to look like. And then, my tool belt, I'd just have like one of the pockets would be dedicated to like food, like whether it was dried fruit or other bits and pieces. And then I'd have we have 2 breaks usually in Australia. It's called smoko and lunch. Smoko is kind of like a mid-morning break. It's about half the length of your lunch break, and then you have your 30-minute lunch break. And sometimes you would miss one of those if the builders wanted you to work more. And I mean, it's probably the same in welding. I don't know, but yeah, you just improvise. And I mean, have a large, easy to digest breakfast. Usually, I had a shake so I could digest it easily. I'd just make my own shake with oats, protein powder, like hydrolyzed whey, berries, honey, and dates and banana, and I'd throw that in a blender and I'd just blend the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Easy, like 1,200 calories in the morning if you're strategic with what you put in there. And then
I'll just forewarn you, be careful with dates. They'll make you shit your pants if you overdo them.
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of
A
dried
lot of
fruit in
potassium
general.
in there.
dates and prunes will make you they'll go right through if you're not careful. But you build up your tolerance. I wouldn't suggest going from like 35 grams of fiber to like 70 a day in 24 hours. Build up to it slowly.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
There's actually, and this was one of the recommendations I gave John. There's a great cookbook that is actually written by a dietitian for Tour de France athletes. It's called the Feed Zone, or the Feed Zone cookbook, because that when you're an athlete who is on an endurance sport like that, where you can't just hop off your bike and eat, you have to eat while you're actually still cycling. So not only does the food have to be readily absorbable, but it also has to be easily eatable while you're doing a task like riding a bike.
Yeah.
So that's one that I highly recommend if anyone is really struggling to kind of find things that they can, like Dave said, like eat with one hand or pre-make, because they have these great, like they call them rice cakes, but they're literally just like the cooked rice, but then a lot of dried fruit, honey, other things. Because guys that are doing endurance events will get like terrible GI distress, and the last thing you want is to like have disaster pants on your bike because you've been just eating goos all day, or chugging like carbohydrate drinks or protein powder. So that's a good resource for someone who's looking to get real like whole food, but that's something that's portable and going to be easy to digest as well.
I used to cycle. I used to do some distance cycling. I had to do like 60, 70-mile bike rides sometimes. And I used to get I think it's GU makes them here they bring them up. They make energy gels that you can get amino acids in them as well.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Shot blocks.
And cyclists will pack these in their jacket, and you can just suck them down while you're. Yeah, see, this one's got amino acids, sodium, caffeine. You can also, they have them with glucose. You can get ones with glucose in them. They have different ones.
I used to take the shot blocks. They're like a big, like a square gummy bear, and I would put them on because I did centuries, so I did 100-mile bike rides. So I would take them, and this is gonna sound so gross. So I'd lick the back of them, and I would stick them to my top tube of my bike, so that, like as I was cycling, I could just like reach down, like pick one off of the top tube, and just like eat them as I was going. So I didn't have to like fumble with like pockets or packages or anything or trash. So I'd have them all just like lined up there on the top tube of my bike before I'd start a ride.
Well, you've got me beat, Amy. I never did a century ride.
Did anyone
A lot of
see
times it's battle.
Has anyone seen the protein shots that Mike Israetel just posted? He just like came out with this new product. It's like
Oh, yeah.
It
I saw
basically
that
looks like a 5-hour energy
Genius
shot.
shake or something, or Genius drink.
Yeah. It's just like a shot of a form of beta-lactoglobulin protein, like from whey. But it's like that big, and it's 25 grams of whey, I think.
Josh said Old
That's
Trapper
sufficient.
beef jerky, 110 grams of protein, 6 grams of salt, 36 grams of carbs. That's great.
I might bounce, guys. So 3 a.m. here.
Yeah, man. Take it
All right,
easy.
Nick.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Nick.
Well,
see you,
Nick,
Nick.
Get some
Good seeing you, dude.
and you
I
can
can tell
easily
you,
make your own jerky at home too, with like no salt at all.
Yeah. I can't tell you how much, one thing that came to mind is in the past, I used to literally drive my loader and have, might not be everyone's favorite meal, but overnight oats, have oatmeal, whey, peanut butter, and I could literally just drink it, but it was still something I could kind of chew and eat to a point. That's a good one. I actually had one guy before used to have the same issue, and I knew he was a smoker, and he used to tell me, I don't never have time to eat, but he always had time to just constantly put his cigarette up to his mouth. I'm like, well, why don't we just switch the cigarette for your food and figure that out? You got to make it happen. Sometimes it takes creativity. If you want the results, you'll find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. It's true.
John's a hard worker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I get it. I
Hardest
totally get
worker.
it, dude. It's not easy,
Yeah.
But experiment with shakes, experiment with some stuff you can eat one-handed, have some of these little shots around, have some easy carbs, whether it's dry fruit, have a plethora of options for you ready to go.
I don't know how the fuck people do chicken shakes. That would make me puke.
Yeah, no.
It's
Yeah,
actually really
poor-
good. It tastes like chicken noodle soup, just kind of
Yeah.
thick, like a chowder.
Oh,
No, it actually really is good.
No, it's
So clearly,
I have gastroparesis, and before it was like well managed, it was incredibly difficult for me to get like even 800 calories in the day. Like, so I did drink a lot of chicken shakes, and you can make them taste pretty good.
Taste, I bet you could make them taste pretty good. It's that texture, that the idea of the texture that's throwing me, Karina.
It's like a chowder or like a bisque.
Oof, you're throwing these terms around pretty
It's a whip.
loosely right now. I don't know. Florida's like a peninsula too. It's
You just gotta tell yourself. You're eating like a, Michelin 3-star
soup.
lobster bisque.
Yeah.
chicken shake.
You're more hardcore than I am, Karina. I don't know. I
Oh,
just
man.
I can't. I don't know. Sometimes the things that people can swallow, I just can't do it.
That's what you said?
I can't eat one-handed, and I just can't swallow that.
You can't eat one-handed. Don't,
No,
Jackie.
I gotta do two-handed. That's me.
Two-handed? Swallow? Okay.
Jackie.
He's a lucky guy.
Oh, man. All right, what do we got up next? Hopefully that answers your question, John.
I should hope so.
John listens to us while he works.
Awesome.
He has the podcast on while he works.
That's awesome. Well, pay attention to what you're doing, man. It sounds dangerous. We got Onirosis. What's the maximum effective daily dose of berberine? And if trying to improve insulin levels, would you still take it with meals that have no carbs?
1,500 milligrams is kind of the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is if you push much higher than that, you're going to shit your pants.
Yeah, it can start to kind of throw off the bacteria in your gut if you're going too heavy with it. It can have like kind of an antiseptic effect in your gut.
I wish Justin was on here. His suppressor product he has.
I was about to say.
Yeah, he has something. I forget what
Called
he added to
Suppressor
it.
Max with sodium caprate.
Sodium
which
caprate,
enhances the absorption of berberine. In my opinion, if you're going to use berberine, you might as well give his supplement a chance. I've used both, and I found that I had better results with his than just straight berberine for what it's worth.
Yeah, you can grab it off. You can go to the Troponin Nutrition website. I also have it on mine if you want to grab it from there as well. But you don't need to spread it out through the day. If you get the cheap stuff on Amazon, you have to take it throughout the day. You need to take it like every 3 hours or so.
Yeah, or every meal,
Carbs.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll take Justin's and I'll just do with breakfast and then pretty much last meal or post-workout, meal 5 for me. So that way you get 2 doses.
Josh is rolling with the funny comments today.
I think somebody asked if you have to take it with a carb-containing meal. Personally,
No.
if I take it without carbs, I will get hypoglycemia. Like I will
You're a
go
freak,
hypo.
though.
You're a high responder.
So I would just individual, like I would pay attention to your individual response.
It's because it absorbs better, Marty. I found exactly the same thing.
Well, I think Justin, part of the formulation he had was, like you said, Colin, making it more bioavailable, because some of the more simple versions of berberine are like 15 or 20% bioavailable in general. So you're not really getting the whole kick out of the berberine itself. But it does work. That's one of my favorite supplements. That's a top 3 in my book for sure.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different types of berberine too. There's berberine sulfate, HCl, citrate. You got to make sure you're getting the right type. There's berberine complexes. From what I understand, HCl is the most commonly used one.
Lucas's comment about no issues with the gut. It's not just the like diarrhea or like whatever that you would want to look out for. It's like Amy was talking about, the antiseptic. So berberine is actually used in a treatment of SIBO and intestinal methanogen overgrowth because of its antiseptic properties. So it's not just, you might even be asymptomatic and like not know that it's doing some, like having some negative impact on your gut microbiome.
Yeah.
I think that's the other issue too, with people taking a lot of supplements that all contain biopurine or black pepper, because they say that they always put that in products to enhance the availability, but that's very disruptive to your gut lining. So if you're taking a lot of supplements that all have biopurine in them, it can increase gut permeability. So that would be something I'd watch out for as well. And again, like Karina said, you may not feel that potentially being a side effect of a supplement you're taking, but you might be having digestive issues that you're kind of perpetuating because of higher doses of some of these things.
No, some to look out for. Then Jackie says she's known some people who've had sensitivity to that as well.
Yeah.
Here's what I found, that berberine can kill, in larger doses, can kill lactobacillus and, if I'm saying this right, bifidobacterium. Bifidobacterium.
Yeah, and those are commensal bacteria of the gut, meaning they're good bacteria. Those commensal bacteria you want to keep in a high proportion of your gut bacteria.
In extreme cases, it can cause leaky gut syndrome. So just be careful with that. 1,500 milligrams, circling back around. That's what I found to be the effective dose. All right, what do we got up next here?
Couple of vague ones and then one from Lucas. We'll go with one from Lucas. Has anyone from the panel been using AOD 9604 as well as JBS-NF? He would like Dave to give it a shot because he says it's a great addition to SLU. Lucas is the one I heard about SLU from first personally, so he's always got the new peptides on lock.
Yeah, I haven't used either one of those. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe AOD 9604, I think that's the same thing as HGH Frag 170/191 or whatever, which is just the fat burning. I think they just changed the name of it, but I'm pretty sure that's the same as HGH Frag. So I wouldn't really bother with that since I'm taking HGH anyhow. But I've never even heard of JBS-NF. Look that one up.
That one's a new one to me. Let me look that one up.
I know the AOD is popular with a lot of people. I just haven't bothered trying it yet.
I need to go more down the peptide rabbit hole. I really just have not gone that deep down it. Let's see, is it a peptide?
Yeah. Yep. And again, I believe that's the same as HGH Frag. I don't know why they renamed it.
I have no idea what it is. I've not heard of that.
Is that, yeah.
Oh, it's HGH Frag.
Yeah.
I just never heard it called that before. All right. No clue, man. What do we got up next? This might be a short podcast today.
You guys get some more questions in.
Some weeks insulin protocol. Clearly it works.
Yeah.
Dudes get huge. I mean, you've seen him, like, he's taken multiple guys like Samson and blown them over the top, guys that were, taking dudes that were already big and put another 20 or 30 pounds on them. I would say this, like, I've seen his protocols. I vaguely recall how I mean, there's a lot of short acting insulin packed around the workouts in a shit ton of carbs, pre, intra, and post workout. And from what I recall, there is insulin administered pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout while you're doing this carbs. And he does super high volume with these giant sets while people are doing it to flush the muscle. I think he calls it his hyperemia system. I think super high volume to flush the muscle with blood and nutrients. And there's amino acids in the drinks as well. What you're going to probably get is just a large amount of amino acid uptake and glycogen synthesis from all that. That's why guys pack on all that size. I don't know that it's really real tissue immediately, but it probably lays down the substrates necessary to grow long term. I think it's a bit extreme, probably not for anybody that's not trying to push to be on the Olympia stage. If you're just an amateur bodybuilder banging around at local shows or just a gym bro, I wouldn't do anything like that. That's probably insane, to be honest with you. The way I do insulin, or the way I have done it, or seeing guys do it with carb cycling is a little different. We limit exposure to it. Even if you are metabolically healthy, there's evidence that long-term high insulin levels can lead to arterial damage. Seems to damage the endothelium, even if your glucose levels are normal, which is not good long-term for cardiovascular health. You're going to end up with plaque and other issues. So we try to limit our exposure to insulin into the high days, like once or twice a week, and I'll run insulin with the high days to keep that limited. And also, if you're blasting insulin all the time, you're going to end up, insulin sensitivity is going to decline eventually. You're going to have issues. You're going to have to use more and more insulin to keep up with it. So that's another issue with it. I think the carb cycling approach is a little more sane if you're going to dabble with insulin. So you do have some low days where you're keeping your insulin levels lower for your health and for insulin sensitivity, gut, preventing gut issues. Big part of it too, like with him, is like they're doing a shit ton of, from what I remember, dextrose, which is, if you have gut issues, look the fuck out.
Yeah, for sure. I think you also got to keep in mind too, from what I understand, Milos is also trying to get his athletes to eat the majority of their carbohydrates pre, intra, and post. So that can be limiting as well too if you're not a 280-pound Samson or whatever it is.
It's not for everyone. It doesn't make sense. Sharp Home Solutions made a good point here. Says this entire plan is about nutritional assimilation, as you just pointed out, Dave.
Right.
And that is going to have much more of an effect when you're starting out with a guy who's already fucking Samsoned out than if you're starting out with a guy who's Joe Six-Pack, Yeah.
And how much within pre, intra, and post, how big how much carbs can you take in depending on the size of the athlete too? Not everyone's going to be able to get 150 pre, 100 intra and absorb it all. It is going to turn.
I will say this from my anecdotal experience: insulin, high carb intake does not pair well with low volume training. So if you're doing low volume training, you're not going to get the benefit from it. You're just going to get fat.
Which makes sense.
You really need to pair it up with higher volume training.
Talk about carbs being fuel. What do you need a whole bunch of fuel for if you're doing low volume training?
I know people will say that there's no evidence that there's any metabolic stimulation from training has any impact on growth, but I don't think it directly does. I think there's the indirect effects of pushing blood into the muscle, having nutrients delivered to the muscle, and probably increased GLUT4 transport, I would imagine, along with taking the insulin and uptake of amino acids and glucose into the muscle cell, which are going to facilitate indirectly more muscle growth long term. So there's not mechanical tension is ultimately what drives hypertrophy, but I think that's the piece of the puzzle that a lot of people miss with this. So yeah, I mean, and of course, if people ask about, you hear people all the time talking about glucose disposal agents and nutrient transport. Well, the ultimate nutrient transporter is insulin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that protocol is best suited for advanced people for sure.
Hey, John, we got your question in a little bit earlier, so if you want to rewind, it's in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he heard us talking yet or not, but he threw up.
Appreciate you, John.
But big thanks, John. And I just want to read here what you put up. John is a pipe welder working out of town, struggling to get all his meals in, working 90 plus hours a week. Hotel life is killing me. He says no matter how long the workday, though, he always gets in a good workout. And he's currently working with Paul and has talked to Amy. And that's like, I just want to say it's really inspiring, John, that you're getting after it in the way that you are. It makes a bum like me want to work a little bit harder. So that's what's up, man.
Well, and he's got kids, and I mean, he's
a hard
incredibly
worker.
hard worker.
He's a good
Tremendous.
Yeah,
just awesome. Mad respect.
John is one of the best welders in the country too. He like presents at these symposiums and stuff and teaches other people how to.
That's so cool.
Weld.
That's awesome.
It's like
Yeah.
a really
That's so
unique
cool.
skill set.
He did an awesome podcast too. I don't know, John, if he's listening, I don't remember what the name of it was. It was about welding. So like, I don't follow welding podcasts typically, but he sent me to it. And so it's not in my history, but it was really, really good. Just talking about his story. And I mean, if anyone wants to just listen to a really inspirational like conversation, they do talk about welding somewhat, but not so much, but it's just about welding. Highly recommend it. So John, if you're listening, you throw that in the chat. I'm sure people would love to hear it.
Yeah, John's
I would.
a cool guy.
No,
Definitely.
I did want to address this. Kyle put up a thing. Even if a study came out proving it did nothing, I'd still incorporate FST7 training. Shit just feels anabolic. I'll tell you this. Like, this is the one thing that drives me nuts with the muscle nerds. Yes, mechanical tension is the primary driver of hypertrophy. That's indisputable. But I think people underestimate nutrients. I mean, the food aspect of it, and the nutrient timing, the nutrient uptake, the ability to take in all these nutrients and be able to metabolize those. And then, like, I think that's the part that people miss with the training. If you look at it, like, all fucking bodybuilders, all top-level bodybuilders train, eat the same way. They use the similar amount of drugs, and they all train with some sort of moderate to higher volume training. All these guys are using GH, insulin, test, Primo, whatever, Masteron, whatever their primary anabolic choice is. They're all doing it similar ways, and they're bigger than everybody else.
Yeah, that's
But
indisputable.
we also know that like pumps do matter, right? Like there is evidence and there's research to support that pumps do matter for muscle growth. And I've never had a better pump than when I've done like FST7 training. Like that shit works.
I will, obviously this is not statistically significant, but anecdotally, everyone I've ever heard try to tell me that pump is not important for growing.
Stupid.
Invariably, they have been not a big person. So,
Dr. Mike had kind of explained to thinking as using pump as an indicator of that you're actually targeting and fatiguing.
Yeah, if nothing else, just as a cue.
if nothing else,
yeah.
If nothing else, yeah.
Yeah. If you're getting a bigger pump on your chest press and your shoulders and triceps than your chest itself, you might want to, that's a good cue to say, hey, look at your form, or am I doing something wrong here?
It's
Plus,
also
it
just fucking fun.
feels-
Like
Yeah,
most of us
fucking
get
feels
into
awesome.
most of us
Yeah.
get into bodybuilding because we love training, and if it's got to be fun.
Yeah, and the goal
Yeah.
of getting that the nutrient rich blood into the muscle that we're tearing down is important too. So the more I can do that, I mean, I've always incorporated tearing down the muscle early on in my workout, like John Meadows kind of taught us, and then pumping the muscle full of that nutrient rich blood later on, and throughout the workout, walking out with a pump.
Makes all the sense in the world to me. And I stopped paying attention for a second, but did you guys just talk about how it fucking feels good?
Yeah.
Like,
Tommy John said the same thing. Training is the only fun
Yeah.
part. Don't ruin it.
The godfather of bodybuilding, Mr. Schwarzenegger himself, I believe, had a thing or two to say on the pump, if I'm not
Say so.
mistaken. He has strong feelings.
It's like calming.
Big feelings.
Big
I'm
feelings.
pumped. Osif paid cash money.
This is an
He
Amy
said-
question.
Yes, it
He said
is.
he was fat and didn't get fit until he was 23. Now he's 27, has a little loose skin around his lower abdomen and his love handles. He wants to go enhanced. He is just a gym bro. And he has thoughts on getting a tummy tuck before or after he goes enhanced. Take it away, Amy.
Yes. So, Osif, this is a great question, and you're smart to think it through. The two things I pull out of this comment primarily is that you are young and that you have now been, maybe a couple of years past your initial weight loss. And those are key things. But if you also say you have a little bit of loose skin. So if you have slight loose skin and you're planning on doing a massing phase, I would absolutely build as much as you want to build first. And then if you still have skin laxity, then you really know what you're working with, because since you are so young, there is still potential for that skin to continue to retract. And if you add a lot of size, it might end up looking better, where that you don't need a tummy tuck. You could potentially maybe even get away with a little bit of like liposuction to help, or other things that might help just slightly. So if you have not built to the level you want to build to, I would absolutely build first before considering surgery, because you can never go back. You only get one first surgery. So.
Yeah. If I can say from my experience too, like I can say I started almost at the same timeline as him, and I've been 300 pounds. What do we lose, Paul?
He kicked himself off.
Who needs him? I've been trying to get rid of that guy this whole episode.
Finally.
Can we finally say how we really feel about this guy?
But what I was gonna mention is three different occasions. Myself being a recovering alcoholic, I've let myself get out of shape and then put myself back into shape, and I've lost 80 pounds on 3 different occasions, and I've lost them at a quick rate, which also contributes to kind of having like the slower you bring down your weight, the more tighter your skin seems to stay. So I've had very loose skin under my belly button in that area as well. But giving it time has just allowed it to tighten up. I'm sure using HGH, I'm sure just keeping my physique tighter and not allowing myself to let my gut get out of control as I've gotten more advanced has helped. But if you have a small amount, like Amy says, do some of the building that you want to do. Give it time. You might surprise yourself with how tight your skin will kind of cure itself. And that's exactly what happened to me. You could look at my stage shots and probably barely notice some of my loose skin to a point. And there was quite a bit,
I've honestly, that it's never been something I've noticed in you posing, Dave. So it's tightened way up for you. And I guess that's a good answer. Osa's like, there's no reason to rush into anything, like they're saying. Just give it time, see how your body wants to adapt, and the plastic surgery is not going anywhere.
Well, if you're planning on growing and shrinking down a few times as a bodybuilder, you're going to be you could get a tummy tuck, and you're going to do the same process anyway. So let's not stretch it out a second time. So like Amy, I think Amy hit it perfectly. Just continue to go on, build the physique you're looking for. And then it can definitely see where you lie. Maybe later down. I'm 35. It took probably 5 years for it to really pull back together for me. So not overnight, but it definitely did.
I don't think Paul's coming back. His power went out.
Oh, his power.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I tell, especially young people as well, looking to do surgeries, you can, like Dave said, or Colin said, plastic surgery is not going anywhere. And that's true. And you really do only get one chance at your first surgery. And if Paul was here, I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. He did his tummy tuck in his 40s and it did not go well. He had complications, other things happened. His scar doesn't look great. And has it impeded his bodybuilding? No. But once you do that, this is kind of a life choice you've made. And if it's not so bad, I mean, you didn't, if people who have lost, have had gastric bypass or now have used Ozempic and have lost weight like extremely rapidly and have like extremely redundant skin, or have a pannus, which is skin that like hangs over even like your genitalia, like in that case, there's no option. And like get the tummy tuck because it's going to make your workouts better. It's going to make your life better. But if that's not the case, build, you're young. And then if you still have a little bit of laxity, do surgery when it works with your lifestyle and like with your life.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Paul.
Look at that. It's Big Paul.
Well, my power went out. Let's see if my internet's back up. I'll try to get back on the computer.
One peptide I've seen work in accelerate loose skin has been that GHK copper with some people. The only negative, I guess you could say, is if you consider it a negative, is that it does seem to thicken the skin a little bit more. But that can definitely help as well. It can be done topically as well too. You know,
Well, that's a pretty substantial answer to your question, Osif. I got to say two things. Great information from everyone, especially Amy and Dave. And also, secondly, Dave, I don't think do you do any impressions that I'm not aware of at all? Because you are about this close from doing a Macho Man Randy Savage impression just with your natural speaking voice, and I've only just realized this listening to you.
Oh my gosh, I just like close my eyes and
it's so close. Like all you got to do is just like give it a little more rasp and like, you know, pretend like you had too much pre-workout and you're there, man.
Yeah,
we get you the fringe and everything.
As he say, snap into a Slim Jim.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it. You guys, next week we're gonna have something special for you.
Hey, I did get called. Brock Lesnar. Some guy said you look like Brock Lesnar.
You do look like Brock Lesnar, but you sound like Macho Man, bro. It's great.
All right.
Yeah, brother.
He's the man.
He is the man. All right. Well, you want to take one more question, Paul, or what do you want to do here?
I'm probably going to wrap it up since my internet's fucked.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's probably not comfortable for Paul to continue at this point. So,
oh yeah.
All right, folks, we appreciate you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Be good.
Bye.
All right, can you end it, Colin?
I was going to.